guys, Chocolate Hammer here with another ELO climbing guide. This time I'll be bringing you only one tip, but honestly it is one of, if not the most important single one I personally use to climb ELO, and the sad thing is I rarely ever see it in other videos, and it's a shame really because it's really easy to apply to all your games, as all it takes is a little game knowledge and quick thinking. Now, the whole tip itself is about visualizing how a fight or action would end up if you decide to fight it or do it. You basically, in your own mind, become an all-knowing god who sees the future, and with the previously mentioned game knowledge by your side, I promise you won't be far off from the realistic version. This is a technique all high elo players utilize because it is so game-breaking in its own sense. Nevertheless, of course, times will come when the utmost of surprising things happen, and a random support pops out of the bush topside, but in the vast majority of the cases, that should not happen. Now, what you would have already noticed is that I am using slow motion for many things in this video, and that is because there is a specific thought process behind all of those. In the one I'm about to show you right now, I already noticed that the Ezreal has no mana to E, so his only option to escape is to flash out. I unfortunately missed this cocoon because I'm a bonobo, but at least it prevents Ezreal from escaping for at least 1 second. At this time I noticed Cassiopeia is moving down to the bot lane, and while I secure the Ezreal I leave it a kill on the Alistar to get her rolling ahead. And then I see the Xerath wandering around the river looking lost, to be honest, and remembering he has no flash, I gank him because it's quite frankly an easy kill if I land the cocoon. Fortunately I managed to land it, but then the Lee Sin comes, and I think what follows is a very good play by me, blocking the Lee Sin's Q and substantially his damage, preventing the Cassiopeia from dying and get her even more ahead so that she can become the hyper carry I need for the late game. Now, what I really want to elaborate on is how I find myself in the right moment at the right time, as I think that contrary to popular belief, it is not as random as it might seem. In the first game in the bot lane, I was running from base and I saw their bot lane playing aggressively with low HP, and that is a primary target for a jungler. Of course, there was a chance they were going to back, but there was absolutely no way they would escape the situation had they stayed. And as you saw, I managed to tragically miss the cocoon, my bot lane practically did nothing at all, and we still managed to pick up the sweet double kill. Now, the next play is where I think the game knowledge I spoke about really comes into play. I think about where the Lee Sin could actually be because counter jungling in this season is really important, and I noticed that both his red buff and blue buff should be down at the time. So I think about the dragon and he actually is in the pit, which is quite fortunate for me. I obviously wasn't sure if he was going to be in here, there was a chance that he would be ganking top lane, he would be ganking mid lane, he would be ganking bot lane, but this seemed like a possibility at the time, and fortunately for me, it does give me the dragon and the kill, which obviously helps out for a late game, puts the Lee Sin behind, and me ahead. Now, I actually want to get into the whole visualization part. To give you a glimpse, there are a few main things you need to consider, namely the cooldown of every summoner spell, how the enemy team can win the fight, how you can win the fight, and what you have to do as an individual to be in a position to win the fight for your team. The first one is pretty easy. Of course, the more details you remember, the better, and the top players timestamp every summoner spell used in their head. But taking me for example, I remember things like Ezreal used Flash, now he only has E to escape, or GP has no teleport and he is top lane, we fight this 5v4. Now, all the remembering of the cooldowns does is help you out in visualizing the actual fight. And to be honest, the visualizing of the entire fight is not really as difficult as it might sound at first. All it really is about is knowing how to catch out the enemy team. This is actually where our team comps come in, as every one of the 9 billion or so possible combinations have different methods to catch out the enemy team, and the better comps are better because they quite frankly have more ways of doing so than the so-called weaker comps. To give you an example of this game, our team is a Kled, Elise, Cassiopeia, Lucian and Nami, while their comp is a poke heavy GP, Lee, Xerath, Ezreal and Alistar, certainly not the worst I have seen. Given that me and Cassiopeia are the most fed on the team with Lucian not being too far behind, the enemy team has to take down at least 2 of us before they can conclude they won the fight. What prevents them from doing so is a Kled ult which we can potentially use to run away with, Nami which is a great support for disengaging with bubbles and ults, and my cocoons. Given that, they'll only go in when Nami or Kled have no ult, as when they both have it, there is pretty much no possibility that we're gonna win the fight unless we misplay massively. Now, in order for us to win the fight, we are so far ahead that when either Ezreal or Xerath dies, they'll not have enough damage to kill me, Cassiopeia and Lucian, and will consequently lose the fight. Because of that, all we need to do is catch out one of them with any form of CC, whether it be my cocoon, Nami ult or Cassiopeia flash ulting. Either way, if one of their carries dies, we win the entire fight. Now that you know as much, it's time for the most important part of the video, which will actually be turning that little visualization in your head into reality, also known as what you can do in order to win those fights for your team. As mentioned above, in this specific scenario, playing as Elise, my cocoon can be used offensively or defensively, but when one connects it usually means the end of the fight. So I try to throw him out often as long as Khaled or Nami are holding on to their ult. This ensures that we never really lose a fight but always have a chance to actually win it. When one connects on any of their carries, I immediately go in, and depending on who the enemy focuses, it will certainly mean either a death of the carry or a summoner spell being blown at least. Now, just remember that while I am dishing out advice on Elise, this can be used regardless of the champion. Let's take into example playing Zac, who is, at least in my opinion, one of the best solo queue junglers for low elo because of how much versatility he has got with damage while building tank. What tends to happen in Zac games is that in the late game you become a flanker and try to flank their carries, possibly even assassinating them, while being wary of the enemy team one-shotting your team while you're on the flank. If you follow all those steps, I guarantee your decision making will go up, and you'll eventually start picking good fights more often than not. Just remember that to League of Legends there are two main factors of your skill, mechanics and decision making. And while having good mechanics that you get fed early and look fancy, decision making is by far more significant in winning the game, especially one based on teamwork like League of Legends. Anyways, make sure to keep me updated whether this video has helped you gain elo, or maybe what I could do better to convey my thoughts clearer. And feel free to ask me any questions regarding anything to do with this video, or any other advice on gaining elo in the comments section down below. Meanwhile, I'll leave you with this sweet cocoon which displays an Elise bug, which still needs to be fixed. Alas, thank you for watching the video, and make sure to share it if you found it useful. You can tweet me at HammerTimes or ask me anything in the comments section down below. Like and subscribe, and see you guys next time.